Here we have the Bosch Trans 27A, some very substantial all-metal radios from way back in 1968. Now these were distributed by the company Bosch in Germany and were actually manufactured in Japan, and these were manufactured and set on a frequency of 27.265 megahertz in the AM band. As you can see there, moulded into the back of it, we have the languages for this particular backplate. I'm not sure if this was sold in other territories with different languages on the back, but it certainly was made in Japan. Now the only pictures I could find of the actual radios in the box with the manual was this one, which I found online, but other than that the information was fairly scant with regard to these. All I knew was that both of these radios that I purchased from eBay did not work out of the box with batteries in. They were completely dead, no transmit or no receive. Upon opening the radios though, I could see that these had not really been touched by a screwdriver or had anyone in doing anything significant from new, which is pretty good for a couple of radios that are well over 50 years old. So I did a usual few squirts around with the switch cleaner and a few test tries, but I could get absolutely nothing out of either radio. And both radios looked to be in really good shape, as I'd mentioned. Now the first port of call was to look at the pass-through connector. This radio unusually has an earphone socket on it, and I first tried cleaning those contacts there to see if that could be a potential problem, but still, alas, there was no audio at all on receive. And they use this familiar on-off volume control switch, which always benefits from a bit of lubrication. So I took the knob off for that and a bit more cleaning on the second radio, and could still not get anything to come out of these sets whatsoever. So I was beginning to get a little bit more concerned that this was going to take me a bit more time than I had bargained for, when I managed to actually get a bit of transmit out of one of the sets, which was at least a start, but there was still no receive audio of any kind. So I decided to completely take the PCB boards out of the actual radio and start to dig about a little bit more. And here I started to find some of the answers, and that was in that there was a lot of damaged tracks on both of the boards. Now I can only think whether there had been some kind of test done with an unfused power supply of some kind or some other kind of damage, but tracks had literally been blown off the PCB, as you can see here. Quite considerable damage. So I went round both units repairing the tracks, and in some cases had to fit links where there was no actual copper on the board, as you can see there. So quite considerable damage, and this wasn't corrosion. So as you can see, after a little bit of repair on the first radio, we got some audio out of one, which was a good start. Using a current limiting power supply, I then proceeded to test the other one and found various other faults across it, and then I used these bridging links, so it was fairly evident to anyone in the future that I'd actually made a repair here. And sure enough, the second radio then crackled into life, so this was good going. So after a bit more cleaning and adjusting, the first radio was tested for transmit and receive, and there we go, it came up nicely. And both radios then went on to be tested a little bit further, a little bit more switch cleaning. There's a bit of an intermittent fault with the PTT button, but as you can see, these were slightly off of frequency, both of these, but the actual inductors on these were filled again with some mastic, but I did manage to actually tweak these onto frequency, and the second set here crackled into life and came in on frequency as well. So all that left really was to do a bit of tidying up, checking the receive using my usual setup. As you know, on these sets the receive is very wide on these, but it's normally where they fall down. However, I did manage to get a decent signal set up on receive, but we had to wait 3 weeks before we could get out. It just rained throughout the whole of May, and it took us that long to get out in the field to test them. So anyway, over to us 3 weeks later in the field doing a test. Right, now it's about 3 weeks later. We've been trying to get out and do this radio test for such a long time, but as you well know, here in the UK the weather's been atrocious. So we've come out today, we've come out with the backup radios, which if you haven't already seen them, these little Baofungs. We like these ones because they ring like a telephone, look, just with one push of the button. So if Tyler needs to get hold of me, nice and simple to use, really good range, really nice audio. So we're going to use them as a backup because we're not sure how these radios are going to perform today, and sometimes Tyler doesn't fully understand my hand signals. Right, so we'll get both these radios out and we'll do a test. A lovely looking radio, this one. They really, you know, when people say they don't make them like this anymore, they don't. This is all metal front and back, no plastic case here, completely metal front and back with this chrome finish on the front. So these are very distinctive looking radios, these. Performance wise, I'm guessing they're going to be similar to the other AM radios that we've tried, but this is why we bring them out to the field, give them a quick test. But look at that, really is of its era, isn't it? It follows the fashion and style of the sort of late 60s perfectly. That lovely. We'll send Tyler off about halfway up the track over there, and we'll see if he can pick us up. I think this is about maximum range, and like I say, I think the receive on one of these is better than the other, which is the problem you'll find with a lot of these sets when you buy them in pairs, and you'll spend a lot of time and effort trying to get them spot on. But I think this is about the limit, so we'll try Tyler. Hi Tyler, how are you receiving me over? Can you receive me okay?
I can hear you.
Out. He's probably not pushing the button hard enough. I had this when I was using that one. Tyler, when you push the button, push it really hard in. Squeeze it really tight when you're talking. I think you're not squeezing it tight enough. Swap radios this time. I think, like I say, the PTT's a bit iffy on this. I think that's partly why we're getting a few issues, but we'll give it another go. Right, Tyler, can you hear me now okay?
I can hear some parts, but some of it was cutting out.
Okay, you go further down then, because I think I should be able to hear you okay. So you walk all the way down to the end, and we'll see if we can get you, okay? Yeah, so receive is definitely a bit iffy on that one. So what we're going to do, we're going to send Tyler to the end of that path, and then we'll just see how he is on this one. But to be honest, I'm pleased. These out of the box did not work. They were completely dead, as you've seen on the video, with tracks all blown and everything. And to get these half decent is all I was after. Like I say, with these vintage sets, you could spend days and days trying to get these sorted out, and for what really? They've just, for me, they've just got to work. I do like them to work, but they haven't got to be like new. They haven't got to be perfect, but working is better than not working, of course. Right, Tyler's right the way down the far end of that track. Let's give him a go on this one. Right, Tyler, can you hear me on this one at all?
Hear you for a bit, but then it stopped.
See, that's Tyler coming back on my pocket radio. Yeah, I think this has got a slight problem on transmit, hasn't it? Okay, talk back to me then. Give me the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. He's just there, isn't he? He's just there, right in the back of the box. I mean, when you see how things have progressed with these modern little radios compared to these things, it's quite amazing, isn't it? Really, battery life, range, performance and everything. But there's still something really lovely about these vintage walkie talkies, and if you've been a long time subscriber, you'll understand that obviously I've got quite an affection towards these old things. But I think there's in the hobby there's space for the old and for the new, and whilst you wouldn't probably use these as a daily driver, they're fantastic to have on the shelf, and a real sort of talking point, and I just love them. Right, okay, well I tell you what, compared to how these were when I got these from the seller, and these came all the way from somewhere in Greece, I think I paid £10 for them, so I think that was a bargain really, when you consider that he probably knew quite how bad these were. I'm not sure how they've got so badly damaged, but they did get quite badly damaged. But hopefully we've put a little bit of life back into them for future generations. Well, I'm sure Tyler will inherit all of these, won't he? So you'll be playing with these when you're a big boy, eh? So anyway, I think probably Tyler's got something to say. If you have been, thanks ever so much for watching. And what do you think you've got to say to the viewers, Tyler?
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Brilliant stuff. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.